How to run Linux on an Apple Mac. Specifically, let's take a look about the latest release of Ubuntu Linux 22.10 Kinetic Kudu, released October 2022. This is the latest interim release, so this type of release are guaranteed for 9 months, so till April 2023, that are a bit different than long-term support that are guaranteed for 3 years, so till 2027. Cool! You can read the latest release note directly from Canonical website or Ubuntu.com, and when you are ready, we can start our journey hitting the download button. So Ubuntu is available in different flavor, different type of release. The desktop, the most popular, with a graphic user interface, where you can see the 2 different releases, the LTS long-term support guaranteed till April 2027, and the latest Ubuntu 20.10 that is guaranteed till July 23. Cool. Hitting the download button, however, it will download the version from the Intel processor. So if you are like me that have the newest processor with Apple Silicon, so M1 or different, you want this release of Ubuntu server for ARM. Yes, it's the server version, I know it, so only the command line interface. But we don't get scary about this, don't we? So let me cancel the wrong architecture. So basically the Apple Silicon is not able to execute this type of code, and is better from the performance point of view to execute native ARM code. So now we need only to wait until the ISO file is successfully downloaded in our workstation. And yes, that's it, we are downloaded the file. Ready for the fun? Well, now my ISO file was successfully downloaded. Let me use VMware Fusion to run a virtual machine. So basically it's a computer inside my computer. Let me select the ISO file that we downloaded before. If it's not listed in this window, easy choose the path for drag and drop the file. It automatically detects the Ubuntu Linux for ARM, but I would like to customize some parameters, so let me customize the path where to save file and also the resources of this machine. I have a pretty powerful machine, so I could give more processor, and I could also give more memory. As you can see, I have 12 GB available in my system. So let me reserve 4 GB for this one. It is only a server installation, so it's not a lot of memory hungry, but it depends what is your purpose. Once it starts, it mimics like a full computer, so this is the initial menu that allows us to select to verify the media or jump directly to the installation. Let me enlarge a little bit the window so we are all more comfortable in reading the text in this box. Once the startup procedures are done, it actually starts finally the installation process. This is a guided process that is asking us some questions, and it looks like a very command line, it's like a console interaction. As you can see, I can go down, up, and select an option hitting enter. So let me proceed with English language. It's also asking what is the keyboard layout and if we want the full Ubuntu server or only a minimized installation. It's also asking what is the main network interface. In my case, it is the Ethernet. And if we have any proxy to connect to the internet, and what is the closest mirror of Ubuntu available, it detects automatically. It asks us if we want to use the entire disk and if we want to use LVM, no or yes. Let me select the default option, is okay in my case. This is a overview how the disk space of 20 GB is divided into different partitions in our disk and how is assigned. Okay, well, last step is to insert our name, our server name, in my case is Ubuntu, and pick up a username and a password for the login. Okay, so I'm going to use Luca as username. You can type whatever you want, and a password. This password must be relatively complex, but also easy to remember. Pick up the one that you want. Remember that this user has also root capabilities, so he can execute command with all the all the permission. Last step is to decide if we want or not to install an OpenSSH server. I select yes, and also I appreciate that we can configure with some credential from GitHub. This is new things about the Snap. These are like containers that could be run inside our server, and there are plenty of selection. I really appreciate that there is Docker, Kubernetes, and a lot of interesting tools. Okay, now we hit finally the important part of the installation, the one that is taking care of copying all the necessary file, packages, system tool in our drive. As you can see, the installation was taking care of setting up the partition and initializing the disk and setting up everything. I don't know why it took so long in my workstation, the installing kernel phase, so I was speeding up a little bit the video because it's not pleasant to see a progress bar. So in real world, it takes longer this step, and after this is proceeding on some post-installation configuration, so init RAM configuration, and also I really appreciate that the procedure was downloading all the security packages and installing for me in the system. This is a nice way how to proceed also to install the additional packages. So basically it was taking care of the base system and then adding all the necessary add-on after it. As you can see, there is a new button underneath that is cancel update and reboot that allow us to skip this intermediate step and directly reboot our server. I choose to wait until everything is completed. Let me remind you that the performance might vary by the performance of your hardware, your machine, and also the load of the system. When everything is done, we have a reboot button underneath. As you can see, it is well hidden, but everything is sorted out. So let me select and wait to enter in my new Ubuntu server in an Apple Mac. Cool. So the installation procedure is taking care of everything that we need, and on the next restart we start to see the messages of a typical Linux machine. So we can see the full debug of the kernel and also the init process, the first process that is going to be executed. When all the services are in OK status, we see a prompt and also the tiny text here confirm that our SSH key was successfully generated for this system. Now let me enlarge the windows and proceed to the login. So we get the login prompt. Let me enter my username and the password. What happens if we enter the wrong password? Well, we got login incorrect, so be careful and remember the one that we insert in the setup phase. Cool, now we got the prompt of our user. What we can do? Well, the easiest thing is to double check the version of the operating system under etc OS release is confirmed, that is Ubuntu 22.10, the Kinetic Kudu. I love the Ubuntu naming of the operating system. Checking the processor, we can see that we have an ARM processor as we wanted. It ran all the usual utility from every Linux machine, for example the top utility, and we can also install additional packages. We need a root permission, so let me use the sudo su, enter my password, and I'm able to use apt install for installing whatever I want, for example htop. Oh, it's already installed. Cool, let me use it. htop is an advanced version of top that display everything in colorful mode and a lot more information. It's very useful to verify how the load of a machine and to understand if this server is under pressure or not. It also accesses all the repository of Ubuntu, so as you can see we can use the regular apt-get update to install the latest release of our software. When we are done, we can use Alt to terminate our system, and on the next run we need only to log in as we did before. Yay! We have a Ubuntu 22.10 running in our Apple Mac. Yay!